Hello and welcome to the show. Today I'm not in the audio booth, so expect to hear some interruptions in the background. Now today what I want us to look at is how to sell your, leftover items, bits and bobs and things that you have here and there hanging around the house. Now, why do I want to do that today? It's because recently me and my stepsis, or rather my stepsister, has this pair of headphones that she has that were just lying around the house, doing nothing basically, and that she wanted to sell. Now, the reason why she got them in the first place was because she wanted to use them for, I think, podcasting or maybe editing videos. I can't remember. But eventually, it was not her jam, and so she didn't end up using it. So she tried to use it like 2 or 3 times and then just put it back in the box. And so she reached out to me eventually. Now, this is what I did. I requested a photo from her so that I would share on my WhatsApp status because I realized that, she told me I have this thing for sale, but then I reach out to 1 or 2 people and I send a message. It's not going to do much because lots of people don't realize that when it comes to trying to sell something, the level of effort and the level of, how I put it, the level of effort or level of work that is required to sell something is actually a whole lot more than most people think. So the average person thinks you have something to sell or you're about to get into business. You just, tell 1 or 2 people and then things will take off. And that's not the case. Now, because this is what I do for a living, helping people fix sales problems, I knew that trying to sell these headphones is not just a matter of, okay, she has told me, man, let me just tell 1 or 2 of my friends, and then somebody will be interested, and that will be it. So I requested a photo from her so that I could share on WhatsApp status because I know that there are a bunch of you, some of you listening to the podcast right now, who do that sort of thing. You have downtime or you're just curious. You open your phone, you start scrolling through people's WhatsApp status. And that is how I've been promoting the podcast primarily over the last 5 years, WhatsApp status and on LinkedIn. And that's how I've been able to get the show to over close to 30,000 downloads so far, just by using those 2 avenues. But then for the podcast, I've been doing that every single day, more or less. I mean, of course, 1 or 2 days you're on the road and so you miss things here and there, but I've been doing this almost on a daily basis. So I knew that, okay, she has headphones, she wants to sell. It's pretty much going to be the same thing. So took the photo, was going to share it on WhatsApp status, and then I asked her for the specifications because, I know nothing about headphones, but because I'm not a tech heavy kind of guy. In fact, those of you who've been listening to this podcast for any length of time, you know that I'm recording this thing on my phone. So I'm not doing any fancy gishbound, with microphone, connect to sound card, connect to computer, connect to this, connect to that. So I'm pretty laid back when it comes to tech. I just pick up my phone, I make this recording. So, but anyway, I know that you gearheads, people who like your gear, you like your phones, you like your cameras, you like your computers. You would like to know, like on the computer, you guys would like to know, how many RAM, how many mega this, how many that, all those sorts of things. So I collected the specs for the microphone, and I figured, okay, I'm good to go. I now created 5 direct response pieces because if I'm going to sell these things on WhatsApp, it's not just enough for me to put up a picture and say interested, ping me. You need to put up something compelling, and the kind of thing you need to put up needs to be direct response copy. Now, what does direct response copy mean? Direct response copy means any kind of text or any kind of words that you're putting out that the intention is you want somebody to take action now. So the kind of copy that says, buy from me now, or if you're curious, send me your contact details, those sorts of things. You want somebody to take action now. That is direct response. There are other kinds of messaging that people put out there that is not necessarily direct response, like this podcast. This podcast is not direct response. I'm putting out the episodes. Hopefully, you find 1 or 2 things interesting. Hopefully, you come back tomorrow, you listen again. Maybe you listen for a couple of months. After a while, you think, you know what? This guy sounds legit. Let me just give him a call. Let's see what he can do for my business. So this is different. It's a content marketing play. The podcast is a content marketing play. It's a relationship building play because I'm building a relationship with you. You have me plugged into your ear holes right now. This is relationship building. Let's see what else. Yeah, it's more of a relationship. As content marketing is relationship building. It's a whole bunch of other stuff. But this is not direct response. Direct response would be buy now, buy now, buy now, contact me now, give me your phone number, give me your phone number, give me your email address, do this, do this, do that. So, since what we're trying to do is to sell the headphones, it's a relatively simple product. I figured direct response would be the best. Trying to sell consultancy services, on the other hand, that might not be a good approach, which is the reason why I don't take that approach of, buy from me now, buy from me now, book a consulting session, book a consulting session. So that's why I don't do that. So I created 5 direct response pieces to show them the WhatsApp status. Then let's see. Okay, now what happened next? By the time I put up the first post, pop, I did that at night. I didn't expect anything of it. But I woke up the next day, I had about 4 or 5 responses. Ultimately, I didn't get any buyer, and one person made a counter offer for 38K instead of the full 55K that my stepsister was asking for. So anyway, I updated my stepsister because I won't lie, I was surprised by the response. That I put this thing up at night. In the morning, there was 4 responses, 4 or 5 responses. So I now updated her that, okay, look, this is what is happening though. So this is what you should do. This is what I prepared. This is what I intend to do. You start doing the same thing on your own channel as well. Let's see what's up. Let's see what happens. And she says, cool. What happened next? She forgot and she didn't do it. But then eventually I reminded her today in the morning and she's like, oh, I forgot. Sorry. Let me do it sharp, sharp. In fact, I'm doing it now. And then me reminding her, that was around 8 something in the morning. And then I was going about my business. And then roughly around 1 something in the afternoon, she's like, hey, the thing has been sold. I was like, wow, okay, cool. How much? Full price. And I was really, really happy for her. Now, the lesson, and that's the reason why I'm making the podcast episode, is this. Too many people are getting into business, or too many people are trying to sell, but they don't have a game plan that is backed by effort and execution. So like my baby sis, I have this earphone. I want to sell this thing, but there is no game plan that is backed by effort and a certain level of execution. And intention is not enough to sell whatever it is that you want to sell. Whether it's your earphones or your old dress or, maybe Popsy traveled abroad and he bought maybe TM Lewin shirt for you, but the shirt was too small. You want to sell it. Or maybe you're starting off business. You want to sell household cleaning products. A lot of people have the intention. You tell 1 or 2 people, but that's not enough to get your business going. Because what you need is you need some sort of a game plan. You need to back this thing up by effort. You need to back this thing up with execution. So she told me in conversation that this is what she wanted to do. And it's not bad. You want to start a business or you're trying to sell someone, yeah, tell 1 or 2 people. But this is what is really required of you. You actually need to come up with a list and then come up with messaging and agree on a cadence. Cadence just means the, how will I put it? The timetable or how you're going to be doing this thing. The reason why you come up with a cadence is so that you don't get yourself tired, because sales and selling is hard. To be talking to people every day is hard. The level of rejection is going to be high. At certain times, it's going to be demoralizing. So you come up with a cadence to protect yourself. So for me, for instance, okay, now let's ignore what I wanted to do because I already told you what I wanted to do. So in her own case, if I was her, what I would have done when I decided to sell the headphone was I would have told myself, I have this headphone that I want to sell. What I'm going to do is I'm going to tell my big brother. Apart from my big brother, I'm going to tell 10 people every day, and I'm going to do it for 5 days at a stretch. So that means that this week I would have contacted 50 people. Let me try this thing first and see what happens. Let me repeat. If I was her, that's what I would have done. I'm going to tell my bro, Then I'm going to come up with a list of 10 other people that I'm going to tell today. 10 tomorrow, 10 the day after, 10 people every day for 5 days straight. After that, I'll now take dressing. What worked? What didn't work? What do I need to change? What do I need to improve? And the average person isn't doing this kind of activity. Remember, the reason why we have a cadence is to protect ourselves. Because if you're going to be telling as many people as possible today, after a while, the no's will just discourage you. But if you decided that I'm going to do 10 every day, once you do 10 today, you can go and rest. 10 tomorrow, you can go and rest. 10 next tomorrow, you can go and rest. You can go and do something else. So it's to protect you and to keep your sanity. So we must all have a cadence. So that's what I would have done if I was her. 10 people every day. I'll do it for 5 days straight and see what happens. By then, I would have contacted 50 people. I bet you there is someone listening to this podcast right now. You decided you were going to go into business in January of 2025. This is currently close to the end of February 2025. And I bet you in the last 1.5 months, you have not told up to 50 people that you're in business. But somehow you're thinking that business is hard. How won't business be hard? You decided January 1st, this is what I'm going to do. What date is it now? This is February 17th. February 17th now. You haven't told up to 50 people. And you're saying, Kai, business is hard. If I had known, I would not have resigned my job. Yes, business can be hard. But truth of the matter is, you haven't really given it enough thought about what it is that is required. The level of effort that is required, you haven't begun to think it yet. At the very least, by now, you saying that you're going to be in business, you should have carried your phone, looked at your contact list, depending on the business you're trying to get into, and should have told yourself, I'm going to talk to 10 people every day, 5 days of the week, Monday to Friday. Let me do this in 2 weeks. At the end of that, I'll now reconsider whether the thing is working, whether the thing is not working. Let me see what I'm going to change. So that's what I'm talking about here. You need to come up with a game plan. You need to back it up with effort. You need to back it up with execution. Trying to sell one thing or trying to get into business, trying to start your business. Go and talking to 1 or 2 people. Talk to your brother today, talk to your cousin tomorrow, and talk to auntie next week. Maybe you talk to deacon in church, and maybe after that you talk to, imam on Friday. That's not really getting into business. No, that's not enough. Because you find that January, February, March of 2025, with that approach, you find that best case scenario, you've only told like 12 people that you're getting into business. You're getting into business, brand new. You only told 12 people. And you really think that by telling 12 people, business should just pop off. It doesn't work that way. So, in my stepsister's case, the messaging that I came up with, or the messaging that, the message I came up with basically was, I came up just 5 different versions of, are you interested in podcasting or video editing? This is a brand new XYZ. It's only been used twice. The accessories and the packaging is still intact. If you're curious, DM me or call me on blah, blah, blah. So it was just 5 different variations of that message. The intro will be different. The language will be different. The call to action will be different. I created 5 because I figured, as you send them now, you see that, okay, this one is performing more than this one. Okay, let me ditch these ones and let me keep to these ones that seem to be performing well. So that's the scope. So, the reason why this is the recommended approach is because, I'm telling you that this is the best way to go about it is because if you do it the way my stepsister did it, which is the way most people would do it, is you tell your big brother, and your brother says, no problem now, I'll post. And then maybe you tell your best friend, and your best friend is like, yeah, sure, no problem, I'll post. And then maybe you tell your boyfriend, and your boyfriend is like, yeah, sure, no problem, I'll post. But what happens is, your big brother might post, because, he's your brother and he has your back. But the thing is, you only post once. And at the end of the week, he will say, sister, sorry, I posted, but nobody in my feed is interested. How will somebody be interested when you only posted once? Now, your boyfriend might be trying to impress you, and so he might post. But the thing is, he might only post once or twice. At the end of the week, he will say, babe, I tried though, but nobody was interested. How would they be interested when you only posted twice? When you open up WhatsApp, think of the number of people on the contact, and then think of the number of statuses that are flying up and everything. It's possible that in a week, somebody might see 500 WhatsApp status updates. You only posted twice. You think that those your twice would make an impression? Seriously. You really think 2 posts is going to make an impression? Some of you have a poor understanding of the level of effort that is required to sell something. So, that's the reason why, at the very least, for me, without thinking much, I just came up with this simple thing. I just came up with 5 different messages, and I was going to share 1 message a day, and I was going to do it for 1 week first, and then gauge, like, okay, which of these seems to be more effective? The one that seems to be more effective, I would have taken that and made different variations of that, and continue blasting it to my entire status viewing audience. So the reason why I'm saying 5 different messages, because if you use the same message all the time, it's going to be boring and it's going to be ineffective. The first time you do it, someone will be like, oh, okay. And then tomorrow is the same message. And then after that is the same message. People get used to it. People get bored. It gets ineffective. But then, if you do different messages, you're going to get to see what is most effective over time and then optimize. The same thing with the pictures. It's just that, not that I was being lazy, but I didn't think she would understand if I told her, look, this picture you sent me is okay. But next time, take a picture, send from the back. Then take a picture, send from this angle. Take a picture, send from that angle. Give me 5 different pictures. Because actually, the photo itself actually makes a difference. So it helps if you can do variations in the photo as well, not just variations in the copy. So different messages, different photos, because we're trying to optimize, we're trying to see what is most effective. So my messages, the formula was the same. Remember, the message was, are you interested in podcasting or video editing? I've got this brand new XYZ. It's been used only twice. Accessories and packaging, still intact. Curious? DM me. Full stop. I was addressing only specific sets of people who are interested in podcasting or video editing, because that's what she bought it for. And of course, typically, people who use those kind of headsets, because I went to go and do some research, is people who are involved in podcasting, video editing, or telemarketing that are interested in those sorts of things. And funny enough, when I blasted out that first message, guess who responded to me the next day? A business owner that I had worked with, that I did consulting for in Lagos. He runs a business that's in alternative energy, solar panels, that sort of thing. He's thinking of acquiring a bunch because he's about to launch telesales with the telemarketing team. Then guess who else reached out to me? A fellow podcaster who is thinking of trying out different kinds of gear. Then guess the next person who reached out to me? A wedding photographer who also happens to do some video editing. Then guess who reached out to me? Another person who is involved in making content that is training engineers. And who else? I can't remember. Well, around that kind of 4 to 6 people. But you can see how the more targeted your messaging is, you can see how it starts appealing to people. If I just put up the headphones and said, earphone for sale, DM me 55K, the response would have been somehow. Some of you will be afraid that because I made it very specific. I said, are you interested in podcasting or video editing? I have an XYZ, fairly used, packaging still intact, DM me if you're interested. Some of you will say, but if I say podcasting or video editing, that is small now. I have 2,000 people on my phone. I'm trying to sell this thing. Why will I now say I'm limiting it just to people who are interested in podcasting and people who are interested in video editing? It's too small. Let's make the messaging broad. Let's make it wide. Let it capture people. Let it capture interest. And that is where your advertising starts falling flat. I've made lots of podcast episodes on that before, so no need to belabor the point. The more targeted it is, the better. So it actually was a good thing that I narrowed down my messaging. Are you interested in podcasting? The person who is scrolling, but who has been thinking, I need to start a podcast, you see that, you say, the universe is sending me a message. The headphones are on sale. And that's how it works. So, I was like, I just got into a rant. I've lost my train of thought. Anyway, but bottom line, different messages, different copy, different call to action, things like that. So the lesson that I'm trying to say for today basically is this. If you're getting into business or you're trying to sell something, number one, create a plan. This whole thing of just talking to people freestyle, it's not a good idea. It is good that you talk to your big brother on the freestyle levels. That's good. Those freestyle conversations, the gas day, as in they'll have to be there, definitely. So you have to do those kind of things, no problem. You also need to come up with a plan. So apart from those freestyle conversations, when you're in church, you're just with your people, talking to your auntie, talking to your brother, talking to your cousins, talking to your boyfriend, those sorts of things. You also need come up with a plan, come up with a targeted list, create some messaging. Because the worst time to figure out what to say when you're trying to sell something is when you are actually in front of the person trying to sell the thing. That is the worst time to try and think of something. Because for most people, your brain will go blank. If you don't believe me, go ahead and try it. Don't come up with a sales script. Every single time you go and talk to somebody, your brain will go blank or you'll be nervous on the spot, thinking, what should I say? What should I say? What should I say? And by the time you talk to 2 or 3 people, you'll be tired because with each person, you are trying to come up with something on the spot, on the fly, original, creative, convincing. That's too much work. So when things are nice and calm and cool, when you're alone in your room or chilling in your car or sitting down in your office, you just give it some thought. It doesn't have to be detailed. Just get a sheet of paper and then just scribble down some few things like, okay, this is how I'll greet them, or this is how I'll open the conversation. Or when I'm talking about the headphones or talking about the business, I must highlight this, highlight this, highlight that. So by the time you sit down, you sketch that kind of thing. Mentally, it has taken a load off you so that when you're in front of somebody and you guys are talking, the thing will just be flowing. The reason why it's flowing is because you took the time before now to sketch an outline that is guiding you. And you'll find that since that one is less nerve-wracking and less taxing, you'll be able to talk to more people. You'll probably be able to talk to 10, 15 people before you get tired. So create a plan, come up with a target list, create your messaging, and then most importantly, come up with a cadence and then execute. Nobody's perfect. But please, because like I told you guys in the earlier episode, my plan is to drop an episode every day or every other day. But I've been missing these past 4 or 5 days. So it happens. But just do your best. If you say you're going to be doing 10 people every day, try your best. Now, some days that you start number 1, by the time you get to number 8, you receive a call from the school that, oh, Mrs. So and so, your child is developing a fever. Come and pick your child. No problem. Go and pick your child. At least you did 8 today. And some days you feel like, man, I am on fire. And you're supposed to talk to 10, but because you're on fire, you will talk to 20. That's all right. But just come up with a cadence. Be executing it every single day. And please, let me point out one thing that some of you haven't quite gotten yet. The only thing that we can guarantee is the level of effort that we bring to the table. We cannot determine the outcomes. So for me, I came up with a plan and I executed it. I told you my results on the first day. I executed it for 3 days before my stepsister tried. I gave it mine. I executed the way I was going to execute, but I'm not the one who ended up selling. For her, she executed on the first day and ended up selling in a couple of hours. But that's just business. That's just life. You're not guaranteed the result. You're only guaranteed the level of effort that you bring to the table. So bring your effort to the table and try and put the odds in your favor. That's just what it's all about. So don't take it to storage if you post day 1, day 2, day 3, nothing is happening. You agreed with yourself. Now look, self, I'll try this for 2 weeks. If nothing works, I will sit down and I'll review. Run it for that 2 weeks first. Then after that, review. So if you're getting into business and you've only told your big brother, you've told your friends, you've told your classmates, it's something I've said before on the podcast. You haven't started yet. You have not started yet. What to do is, everybody has a phone. You're listening to this podcast right now. Most likely, you're using your phone. A couple of you are using your laptop. No, that's not a problem. Your laptop has something on it called, contact list. If you check your email account, you see the contact list. If you're using your phone has contact list. Look at contact list. From the contact list, you will create a list of people who might be interested in your product or your service. Write these things down. Write it. From that list, you will decide that, okay, these people, it's best if I do phone call. These people, it's best if I go to their house or if I go to their office. After that, you will now sit down and come up with some messaging. Don't write it word for word and don't memorize it. If you go there and you memorize it, everybody can tell that you've memorized it and then it sounds boring. Just do it in outline form. Okay, who are the people I'm trying to talk to? For this set of people, what's the best way to greet them? Or what should I emphasize when I'm talking about the product? Or, this and this and that and that. Then come up with a cadence that is reasonable. For those people who you're going to go and visit them in the office, if you're based in Lagos, let's be real here. I don't think you can visit more than 2 people a day in Lagos because traffic is crazy. If you live in Abuja, on the other hand, it is possible. You can even see 5 people a day because you can drive from one part of town to another part of town in 30 minutes. So it's possible for you to see somebody at 9. If you have a 30-minute meeting, you can see another person for maybe 10:30. If you add traffic, you can see another person for maybe 2. And you can see another person for maybe 4. That can happen. You're meeting 4 people every day, 5 days of the week. If you're based in Lagos, don't even try it. It's not going to work. It's not possible. It's not possible at all. So be realistic here. So in Lagos, if the plan is to go and meet somebody in the office, I would say target 1 person a day. Don't target 2. You give yourself unnecessary BP. So execute. Now let me give an example. Because this one is real. I'm seeing some people who are thinking of this kind of business already. Now, let's say you want to be in the business of importing yam from Benue State. I'm saying importing because I'm not sure how else to call it. I live in Abuja right now. I'm from Benue State. But the cost of yam in Benue State right now, in Abuja right now, is high. Very, very high. In fact, there was one time, the last time I tried to buy yam myself, that was in January. I went somewhere. And then I said, how much? The person said, 4-5. I said, 4-2. The person laughed. He said, no, for that one over there. I said, which one? That one. That small yam? He said, yes, 4-5. So, okay, what of this healthy looking one, this big one? He said, that one is 6,000. I said, for one tuber? The person said, yes. And I removed my phone. I said, I'm coming. I called my wife. I said, babe, I'm in the market. This is what I'm seeing. My wife laughed. She said, yeah, that's how it is. That is okay, that's the price. I say, 1 yam. So anyway, because of that now, there's some people who are trying to take advantage of the arbitrage because you can buy yam cheaper in Benue State and, all that area, Benue, Nasarawa, bring it into Abuja and then make your money. So let's say you're one of those people now. You're thinking of importing yam from Benue State to now sell again in Abuja. First thing to do is take your phone, open it. Who might be interested in buying this yam? Now remember, when it comes to sales, sometimes it's common sense, sometimes it's a good guess. But it's okay. We start from there. We start guessing and we execute and we see what happens. So the guess is, okay, people that have families that need have plenty of mouths to feed, those are the people we should target. So in that case now, you might now start looking at women in your contact list, women who have children, maybe who have maybe 2 or 3 children. Sorry, I'm not trying to be sexist here. I'm just coming up with a hunch that I'm assuming if you're going to try and do this kind of thing, you're better off calling the women on your phone rather than calling the men. Maybe the men are more concerned about other things. I don't know, maybe fuel or internet or whatever, but it's just my guess. But anyway, the thing is, shall come up with a plan. So for me, will be women that have children. I'll now start looking through my phone. Oh, okay, Nkechi, she has 5 children. Good. I'll now write down Nkechi on my list, number 1. And so Cordelia only has 1 child. Maybe not. I'll ignore Cordelia. And then I'll go again, and then I'll see Amina. So, oh, Amina has 4 children. Good. I'll now write down Amina. That's how I'll be doing it. Just be writing it down. And then, let's say you're one of these people. You're importing the yam, but let's say you already have a full-time job. So you work in Zenith Bank. You don't have to be realistic with yourself. You go to Zenith Bank 8:30. You work until 6:30. Lunch break is 1 hour. So now be realistic. You now tell yourself, look, you know what? With this limited time, I think I can only call or chat up 5 people every day. Okay, no problem. So you now agree that, okay, 5 people. You went through your phone. The list you came up with maybe is 40 people. If you're doing 5 every single day, it's going to take you 8 days to get through that. So that's a week and a half, Abi. Monday to Friday, that's 5 days. Then Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Good, that's 8. So that's a week and a half. Then you now come up with your messaging. The messaging might be something this simple. Hey, good afternoon, Nkechi, long time. Have you noticed the cost of yams in Abuja is now becoming exorbitant? Of course, Nkechi might reply, yes. In fact, my sister, even myself, about 1 tuber of yam in Wuse Market, 5K yesterday. Say, lucky you, 5K. The one that I saw was 6.5. The guy was even telling me 7,000. You guys have that conversation back and forth. Then, the next up is your messaging. I've got a plan to deliver yams at 2,000 naira for 1 tuber. So that if you have 10K, instead of buying 2 tubers of yam, you can use that 10K to buy 5 tubers. Nkechi, are you interested? And then hear what Nkechi has to say. But the thing is, you don't figure out this message as you are chatting with Nkechi. You need to have mapped out this conversation before you start chatting with Nkechi, so that the thing is there to guide your conversation. And if you've decided that this is what you're going to do, now execute it daily. Eventually, some people will buy. Lots of people will say no. But this is actually the level of effort that is required when you're starting up into business. Some of you will think it is enough that this idea sounds brilliant. And when you run into Nkechi at the office, you mention it to her. Then maybe you mention it to 2 or 3 people in church. And then maybe you tell your husband that he should tell some of his colleagues. But you find that if you don't take this structured approach, you will find that you start this your yam importing business on January 1st. And then by January 30th, you find that maybe you only told, 8 people. And then you now say, Kai, business is hard. This thing is a no-brainer. Why is nobody buying this yam? It's because you underestimated the level of effort and the level of activity that was required to sell this yam. So, basically, that's just what I wanted to let you guys know for today. A summary: come up with a cadence, come up with a script, have the right level of effort that is required to make this thing happen. Oh, and then also, your messaging should be targeted. When you're creating your list, you should be targeted. Just like how for this yam thing, it's not a matter of opening up your phone and then blasting the message to all 2,000 of your contacts. Yam for sale in Abuja, 5 tubers of yam for 10,000. Sit down. It's work, but sit down. Take the time. Come up with this targeted list and then begin to execute on the daily. It's going to take more conversations than you think. But eventually, some will buy. Some people will say no. The people that say no, it's okay, leave them. The people that buy, that's good. We're trying to see how we'll get them to buy again. So if Nkechi buys this time, she said, okay, let me test. Let me see if this thing works. She forwards you 10K. From that 10K, you send out 5 tubers. She's impressed. The goal is to see how Nkechi bought 5 tubers, January 1st. The goal is to see how you can get her to buy another 5 tubers. Abby? No, 5 tubers for a house of like 4 people. No, it won't last. Okay, let's say 2 weeks. So the goal is, if she buys 5 tubers, January 1st, the goal is to see how she can buy again, January 14th. And maybe buy again, January 30th. And then, God willing, February 1st, she also tells her sister, so that it's her and her sister that are now sending you 10K each for 5 tubers of yam. So, what we're looking for, the no people, don't worry, it happens. They will say no, leave them. The people that say yes, that's where the money is. Repeat business and referrals. That's where the sweet money is made. Anyway, been going on for close to 40 minutes, so let me just wrap it up. I think I've said it all for today anyway. So if you're interested in the strategy session, the business audit, or you have some questions, then reach out to me. The phone number is 080-6466-2140. The country code is +234 for those of you who are not Nigerian, and that's my WhatsApp number as well. You can also connect with me on LinkedIn. The name to look for is Tavishima Ayede. I also have this podcast available on YouTube in case you're one of those people who is watching on the web browser. You're not a podcasting person. You'd rather do the YouTube thing. Then yeah, sure, go to YouTube and subscribe. So thank you very much for your time and attention. I'll catch you guys at the next episode.